So we're going to keep it short. We have 15 minutes. We're going to do 8 minutes of talking and hopefully more time of actually questions and interactions. But I want to start with a question to you. So we've been talking a lot about democracy. Who in this room believes that alone you can change and solve democracy? Raise your hand.
So I think that no one thinks that. And that's why for this session, I ask you to forget or put aside for 1 minute what you've heard in the last 2 days. Because we heard wonderful policy proposals, wonderful ideas, discussions, but until these ideas and discussions are confined within these walls and are not in the streets, in the squares, in the hearts of the people outside, and people don't feel that these ideas belong to them, or they have shaped them, or they have ownership over them, these ideas will not become reality. So this is why today we are here to discuss how to build a movement. And let me just waste another 2 minutes on why movements are important. Movements are the fundamental element of democracy and political change. Since the start of times, humans have united in groups, leaderless, shapeless, whenever an urgency occurred. And people fought with movements, created movements because they had aspiration, desires, wishes. I don't know if you ever participate in a protest, in a march, but movements have a particular feeling in them. You can hear smells, you can feel smells that you don't feel elsewhere. This energy, you touch skins, hands of people that do not look like you, do not speak like you. And this is unique. It doesn't happen on your workplace. It doesn't happen in your home. And this is why building movements was fundamental thousands of years ago. It's more fundamental than ever today.
So as a quick intro, this is Andrea, I'm Colombe. We've been successfully and very unsuccessfully sometimes building movements and campaigns for the last 6 years. We're trying right now to build a global political party, hopefully successfully, and to create through this democratic global governance, which is an extremely ambitious goal. And so for this talk, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to give you a practical guide of our lessons of how to actually build movements. And for this, we'll talk about ideas, mindsets, and methodologies. And we'll use the example of the campaign we are building right now to create a democratic global governance to exemplify it and show how hard it is and how needed it is. So the first point is idea, as I mentioned. Obviously, you need an idea, right, when you build a movement. But not any idea. Movements take time. It's difficult. It's long. It's painful. It's also beautiful, but it's also painful. So you need an idea that touches people so deeply that it will keep on going when they're tired, when they're overworked, when it's winter and things are expensive and it's dark and it's depressing. You need something that will keep people going. So an idea that is so, close to their hearts. I just said global democratic governance. This is a mouthful. It's extremely boring for most people. When I say those words, most people fall asleep. So I'm talking about an idea that actually touches people. This in itself is very far away from this. So the way we're attempting to solve this issue is by doing 2 things. One, we are anchoring it into historical moments. The UN right now is completely failing when it comes to Russia and Ukraine and many, many other conflicts. People feel very strongly about it. This is a moment where we can mobilize and use that for constructive change. And the second one is to anchor it in topics that people actually feel on their skin. I've been talking about it for the last 2 days with people. The price of living in London, where I am, is completely unaffordable. I don't know how to be able to afford rent in the next couple of months. Participatory democracy processes can help in this. Suddenly, you can actually talk about democracy through topics that touch people's minds and souls.
And once you have the idea, the reason why you're organizing a movement, then you need to get into the right mindset. And I think Colombe anticipated part of it. Building a movement is not easy. If not, some of them have already done it. It's commitment, it's time, it's sacrifice, it's defeat, it's public scrutiny, it's many things. So it can feel intimidating. And that is why mindset is very important. Entering a movement is not like posting on social media. It's putting your heart and soul into something you truly believe into. Be very wary of people that start something but do not seem committed to the topic. Be very wary. And if you start something, do it with your full heart and mind, because it's the only way to succeed.
Now to talk about methodology super quickly, because we have 10 minutes left, as I've just seen. We have 5 points. First one is you actually need to do it with people. I know it sounds basic, but let me say it again. You build a movement, it's with the people that have to be part of it. It's not alone and then going to the people, telling them, hey, let's advocate for this. You start from the people, which means it's really uncomfortable. You go, you put your idea out there, you get a lot of pushbacks. Most of it gets destroyed. My ideas got destroyed approximately 200 times before they ever succeed. But you have to do it. You have to call up your friends, put it out there, put it on social media, start organizing.
And then you use the beautiful digital tools that we have today to amplify the message. And yes, in the last 2 days, we spoke very badly about some of these digital tools. And they have limitations, but they also have great powers. And obviously, I'm speaking about social media. Wonderful channel to amplify your ideas, involve people you don't know, and just project the urgency of the issue. The second thing is you must have an IT infrastructure behind you. I cannot stress this enough. I've done it many times. You need to be able to collect data, organize donations, message your people, and this is something sometimes overlooked by people that want to start campaigns. And last but not least, use digital tools to organize meetings, lots of them, online and offline, especially offline. Because digital tools are great because they convey human energy and make sure that people hear your message, but then human energy happens and concretizes when you actually meet people in real life. And I could give you countless examples of the meetings we had where it was only me and Colombe, or me and my mother. And yes, it's very frustrating at the beginning, but there is no way to have a full square if you did not take the step of the empty cafe alone. So you need to do that.
After this, you actually need to find achievable goals. So democratic global governance, this will take tens, if not hundreds of years to actually build. Try to tell people once you actually manage to convey well the idea and do everything Andrea just said, that it's worth putting their energy into this. It's too long, it's too far, you need to break it down. So for example, what we're doing is on the 1st of January, we're launching a 1-year-long consultations where we'll hear from people from all over the world what type of governance they want, how they want to participate in democracy, what type of topics should be covered, and so on. This gives them a 1-year time frame. Volunteers have ownership of the process, can be able to see how it's going to look like, and can actually do the work. This is fundamental to break it down into achievable goals that can have success.
And the next steps is actually using tipping points. Anchor yourself in tipping points that are happening. Every day, all over the planet, there are historical events happening, celebrations, protests. These are all wonderful ways for your campaign, your idea, to gain momentum. And to give you a very concrete example, every 5 years, the United Nations select, sadly not elect, their bosses, the Secretary General. And this, for our campaign, is going to be a wonderful moment to create a stunt political campaign where we're going to propose a candidate championing our vision for democratic governance. And then suddenly, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will be interested in our campaign because it's linked to a big historical moment that we are living through.
And I think what is the final methodology I would give that for me is the most important one, it's what I call being a bulldozer. So building any movement takes, as we said now, a very long time. And I think what makes it successful versus unsuccessful is your ability to be constant, your ability to push through the difficult moments and to keep on going for years. And this is difficult. It takes convictions, it takes courage, but it also takes consistency. And for this, and I was reminded of it by Tony yesterday during one of his talks, you need to be able to have fun with the topic you're choosing. Otherwise, you're going to give up along the way. So what we said is one idea that is actually linked and felt very strongly by the people that want to create the movement, mindset, and then methodology-wise, you have to actually do it with the people, basic but fundamental. You need to be able to use digital tools to organize in person. It's not the same to see me on screen than to see me face-to-face. We'll create a better relationship this way and we'll work better together at one point. Then you need to be able to break achievable goals, anchor them in tipping point moments. You won't create the momentum, you will surf on it, and be a bulldozer.
And to conclude, unless you have 1 billion euro or dollars to spare to lobby Congresses and Parliament, and I hope you don't because I think that billionaires are a policy mistake.
Another topic.
It's another topic. The best shot you have to change things is actually building movement, either to fix something you really feel strongly about it, or even to propose a broader vision of society that you can champion in electoral races in your country, city, or wherever you want. So we have now run through a very simple framework, and obviously because of the time we couldn't do more. But if you are interested, email me or email us at andrea@atlas.party. We have a lot of tips and framework to share. And just to conclude, going back to the initial question, if you think that we can change democracy, I think we can change democracy together. And this is why we need to build movements. And this is how we can see citizen assembly, the citizen consumer confidence index. We can see a fourth branch of government. We can see many of these wonderful ideas becoming concrete and real when millions of people, if not billions, will believe in them. And people have done it before, and we can do it again. So good luck to everyone. Let's change this planet. Thank you.